John, there was lots of next man up action today before the game and during the game. Can you give us your thoughts on the evening, and also if there's any update on the two guys who had to leave the game?
Yeah, I think firstly a big shout out to the fans that made it tonight. We had, I think, around 17,000, and they make a difference. You know, we talked about this being a fortress for us and keeping a streak going here, and you know, I thought the fans were awesome tonight, so thank you to them. Yeah, it has been next man up. It just feels like it feels like you're always going to be adapting, and you've got to be nimble and on your toes. But you know, all credit to MA. I think he did a terrific job coming in. He's been really patient. He's been building from the pre-season, so I thought he did a really good job. And then, if I talk about Prince Owusu getting his first goal, I mean, the lad works hard. If you see his physical numbers, he puts a shift in for the team, and he stayed ready. He stayed focused. And then I've got to mention, obviously, young Spicer. I mean, that's a pretty special moment for the lad. He's got quality, and we had a feeling he'd score tonight. We had that conversation with him, and defensively, I was proud of his work. So, just I think a collective performance tonight, Neil. I think you look at Fede's efforts, you look at young Jaquil. I thought he took a step up again. Then you see, Alonso, Matty Longstaff putting good shifts in. Yeah, I mean, I have to probably talk about the collective more than anything tonight. It was nice to see. With the injuries, Lorenzo, it's hamstring, so he'll be MRI tomorrow. And with Shane, it's potential concussion. I mean, that's always when there's head injuries. Particularly with Shane, you've got to always protect the players. So we'll assess tomorrow, and we'll let you know Monday, Tuesday.
Is this just a bad run of hamstrings?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, you look at their loading this week. Players were bubble wrapped this week, because of where the squad was at. I just think we've been very unfortunate with the injuries. With Lord, sometimes it's his calf, so this is a new one for him. But I'd say, cold night, they're always vulnerable on nights like this. And unfortunately, it's his turn. I just hope it's all getting it out the way at the beginning of the season, Neil, so we can, come through that back end of the season with our luck behind us. And hopefully the other teams are starting to break down.
John, for someone so young and inexperienced, Tyrese seems to play with a great deal of confidence and sort of dynamism. What is it that you like most about his sort of player profile?
Well, we talk about that wing-back being maverick. So when we seen him at the NCAA, he was a wide forward, and he was so direct. Think of my national team with Tejon Buchanan. He's got that sort of directness. He wants to get at a player. He wants to see the whites of their eyes and just go after them. And he'll start to develop a new threat level for us, because when you've got that level of pace, teams have to respect that. So he was an unknown quantity tonight, but what you'll find is over time, when you have that pace and I guess 1v1 ability, it starts to loosen things off for Lorenzo or whoever's in those pockets. They can't defend them as tight as they'd normally do it. So I think he did well tonight. He stuck to the game plan. He was very professional. We knew against Lob, that was going to be a big challenge tonight. That's an experienced Georgian player, So that was as I said to him, I said, look, while I know what you'll bring in the attack, it's the professionalism in your defending I'm looking forward to tonight, and I thought he delivered well.
John, as you mentioned, Fede has really put in some solid shifts this season. Still, yet the goals haven't come. What's his frustration level like? And what does he have to do to break through?
I think you're seeing his frustration right at the end of the game, that last opportunity. But he's been awesome. I mean, there's so much was said about the two Italian lads before I came. They were this, they were that. But this man is really just giving himself to the team. He's willing to play wing back. He's willing to play inside forward, wide forward. He'll press. He'll recover back. And then there he is in the 90th minute, 1v1, just showing his quality. So I think what you know with him, it's going to come. It's just a matter of time. So hopefully his moments come at the right time, the big moments.
It's early days yet, John, but every week we're writing about that they've got so many points this year, whereas they got this last year. When you look at the team now, what do you think is the major reason for the turnaround? Are they just bought into what you're selling?
Yeah, I mean, I always talk about this selling thing. It's like for us, it's about clarity. When they have clarity, they can have intent, and then it brings an intensity to the work, to the conversations, to the ownership of moments. So when you look at the clarity they've got, we broke it into phases. We looked at phase 3 being this first 10 games, and we set a points track, and we made it clear that tonight we could either stay on track with our 0.2 points per game where we're at the moment, or we're going to be off track and taking ourselves out of that sort of top 5 placing. And I've said, if you can keep a team in and around that top 5, you're going to lose games, but the critical part is you don't go back-to-back losses. And that they had to fight for that tonight. We knew Atlanta were a bit depleted, but we had excuses as well. We had our excuses if we wanted to bring them out. But at the same time, I think the clarity of championship teams, strong teams, those anti-fragile teams, they don't lose back-to-back. And I thought they fought tooth and nail to, 1, keep a clean sheet, and 2, make sure we got that result to keep us on track.
John, despite all the injuries, this team has managed to keep 4 clean sheets. How do you evaluate the defensive work so far in the season?
Well, I think, Luca wasn't too busy tonight, but we had to credit Luca and big Sean Johnson. They came up big in big moments when we needed them. But you look at Kevin Long, he brings a real experience at the back. I thought he was a colossus tonight, just mopping everything up. He was on that yellow card as well. We left him man on man at the back. Every centre-back, that's their worst nightmare, to be in that situation. But we said we were too low against the New York. We were way too low. Our average height was 42 metres, and they made a commitment tonight to play at 52 metres. And that, they were right there. They were bang on. It takes a lot of courage to do that. Kev led that. And then you had Siggy, who's bought into that as well. Once one absolutely commits, typically the other ones come with. And with his experience, I thought he led that well tonight. So, the clean sheets are down to some quality in our back line and some good work from Jason DeVos as well. Got to give him a shout out when he has his clean sheets.
John, a good start from DeAndre today. Nice little ball to set up Tyrese there. What did you see from him in that role, and did you anticipate he'd be playing quite as much back to goal as we saw tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of that job. When you play that 9, you have to be able to play back to goal. When you have the tops of the box, they're always looking for the link play. They'll run a channel to open a gap up that he has to appear. And the back to goal work's critical. He has to be able to play on 1, 2 touch well. I thought his mobility was good tonight. I thought he really did actually add something to that profile. So he was ready to run a channel, but do that unselfish work to open a gap for Fede. And then typically when the ball doesn't come, the strikers put their hands up and they have a little jog back. He was reset round, ready for the next pass. So, I was really impressed with him tonight. He'd just come back from injury, and the med team, they were really concerned about his minutes. We were pushing him at 55 minutes. That was a little bit beyond his threshold. So, and then obviously what we learned from that first game is Prince coming in, he does make an impact. You've seen that tonight. He comes in with a real fire in his belly. And so, yeah, I've got to compliment both them two tonight.
Is Spicer the fastest player you have in the squad?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's got real pace. And he hasn't learned to use it yet either. That's the exciting thing. He's, some of that work out wide. He's got to learn some of those little individual movements that maximise that type of pace. So we have the wing-back coach, Alex Dodgson's working with him every day on his little patterns, and he's watching world-class wing-backs to close the gap. I mean, playing wide forward and wing-back are two very different things, because you got to have the guts to want to make all the things you do at a wide forward to get in behind, knowing that when it doesn't come, you've got a 60-yard recovery. So, we're building that physical profile to do both, because he's definitely a sprinter.
John, from a match fitness perspective, is Matty kind of where you thought he would be? Does he still have progress to make?
He's high risk, yeah. I wanted to keep him on. You could see he was really enjoying his football. That was a lovely performance from him tonight. But again, science medical team, I've got my, the meters per minute right next to us on the laptop, and, he's moving into red zones. So with the way the squad is, I've got to trust. Yeah, I would love to have seen him and Ozo out there together tonight. They would have really combined well, but we've got to manage it.
John, at the beginning of the game, we saw Toronto defenders and midfielders having trouble to give the ball to the forwards because they isolated a lot at the beginning. And that was because a tactical mistake, or they isolate themselves, or what happened. Also, that was the thing that you fixed, because we saw that it was fixed, and you told Matty Longstaff at the middle of the first half.
Yeah, no, they were pressing high. I mean, we knew they were coming out with some gusto. The coaching staff were in the media pretty clear. They were coming out on the front foot, and you got a 30-kilometre wind behind you. It's pretty easy to press and get pressure on. It feels like you're up against tight marking, as well as a wind that you're not going to be able to hit those diagonal passes. So for us, it was about two things. One, we had to roll Lorenzo out. Dax McCarthy was doing a good job man marking him. That was one thing. So we just had to roll him out wide, just to roll McCarthy out, and then it was about Matty joining on the inside. So just creating a little +1 against their midfielder on the side. So that was one of the tactics. And then the other one was creating that back four. They were starting to cheat with their two wide forwards onto our centre backs, which meant we were struggling. And again, Matty's so mobile. He was able to set that little back four on the side and just take away the initial full press that we were feeling. So I think once we got hold of that, it was decent. And then I think what you're seeing with Fede, we asked for a +1. So instead of them sort of sitting in that box midfield, it was important for Fede to just come and join Lorenzo, to give us that extra number, because it meant they were always going to be a number down on that side. And once they got a little bit of joy together, you could see we got rhythm in the game. So there were a few little things we had to change, because that's a very good pressing team, very well organised. They're third highest PPDA in the league. So, to get control of a game against them, you got to work.
John, Costa Rica beat Honduras tonight, which means you're not going to lose Debbie for Copa America. I'm sure it's disappointing for Debbie, but
Yeah.
how big of a boost?
Well,
is
it's
that?
disappointing for Ali. I'm sorry, I didn't know that
Oh,
result. Yeah. No, I mean, Debbie, I always say to those players, like the international games, they just add something else to their focus levels. So it doesn't bother us that they've got to go away for these big moments, because also because I think when you're dealing with a squad, those other lads that you're speaking to, the Corsi Thompsons, you're getting them ready and they can see light at the end of the tunnel. It keeps your squad tight. But I mean, with Davey, he'd agreed to come home after this game. He wasn't going to play the next match, the next friendly. So, we're going to get him back for next week, which is great news. He's not going to be there for the whole window. So, either way, good to have Davey back, but I think he's going to be fighting for his place. I mean, that's the competitive element. I thought those two in midfield were brilliant tonight. Matty and Allo.
John, 5 match, 4 clean sheet. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, clean sheets win games. I've got Jason DeVos as he says it pretty much every week. You know, goals win games, but clean sheets win championships. And you know, Devo, he's an absolute warrior when it comes to the details and you know making sure the guys know exactly what their jobs are going to be in games. And you know, after the New York game, we weren't happy. We were not happy. The two of us had a strong meeting with the centre backs and the back five, and to be fair, they owned up and manned up tonight. It was brilliant. So yeah, well, we just got to keep going.